Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Crypto Warehouse. My name is Mike, and it is another Monday, and it's FOMC week. That means Chairman Powell is going to decide on a rate cut or not. That's going to be the big headline of the day, and we have a lot to talk about. It is a Monday, which means we're going to have a look at the charts. We're going to have a look at the DXY. We're going to have a look at Bitcoin dominance. Then we're going to have a look at whether the Fed is going to cut, hold, or raise rates. Buffett. We're going to have a quick chat about Warren Buffett stepping down. We're going to talk about Petra. We're going to talk about Binance Pay. We're going to talk about Sol, and we're going to talk about Apple. A fair old bit to get through on a Monday morning, and it's raining again here. I am freezing. My hands are absolutely frozen. So, before we begin, I just want to point something out to Packer, who asked me what I was wearing. Now, Packer, for your information, this is called fashion, apparently. This is what the fashion is in the Northern Hemisphere. I know you guys down there, I used to wear, I don't know what you wear, bamboo shoots, tree bark. I don't know what you wear down in the Southern Hemisphere, but this is what we wear up the north. It's called a T-shirt. So if you want to know where to get it from, I will leave a link in the description below. Good morning, Manjeet, Danny, Hidden, Tariq, Velvet. I hope you are all doing very well on this cold, breezy, and chilly Monday morning. I suppose we should get on with the show, should we not? So let's go. Before we look at any X-Files, let's go and have a look at the charts, look at the markets. The theme of today is support. And what I mean by that is, where are we going to find support this week? We've had a nice run up. We've come all the way up to $96,000. But now where do we go? Do we go down? Do we go up? Is this a pause before another leg up? And we're going to look at the Bitcoin chart in a minute, and I'm going to give you some ideas of where we could go. Bitcoin's coming at 94.5, good price for Bitcoin. Ethereum holding above $1,800. XRP still at $2.20. It's been there for a week. BNB just under 600. Sol lost $150. It's down to 146.50. Again, recency bias. Remember where we were 3 or 4 weeks ago. Solana looked like it was going to go below $100. That's what people were telling you. People were going to tell you that Ethereum was going to go below $1,000. We're a long way from that, but also we're a long way from where we want to be. We want to see Bitcoin clear of 100,000, Ethereum clear of 2,000. We want to see XRP pushing up towards $3. These are kind of like indecisive prices for me. The entire market is really healing, but healing in a way where we're not 100% certain of the direction yet. And that is part of what we're going to look at today, hopefully. Right, some gainers then. Virtuals. Now, again, a few weeks ago, I was saying, please keep an eye on this AI. Fledgling industry, there are some coins that are going to recover when the time comes. And we're starting to see that because I hold very small positions in virtuals and a few others. We're starting to see the AI coins pick up again. Core. Now, have you been under a rock or have you seen any of the videos that I have made about Maple Finance and Core? I put a tweet out about this yesterday, 2 tweets out about Maple yesterday, but one was about Core. Now, Core is a token associated with Core DAO. If you haven't looked at it, go and have a look at it. They do not sponsor me. I have never earned a cent from Core, but I did a video about what they do, and I think it's a really great project. I mean, YouTube at the minute is suffering. There really isn't much in ways of traffic, but I still make the content because you guys still need to listen to it. So if you haven't seen the Core video, go and watch it. And again, I have no affiliation with Core whatsoever, but I think it's going to do quite well. Pudgy is continuing to rise. There is a lot of hype now back behind Pudgy. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to sell my Pengu very soon, okay? It had a run up. It's come all the way back down again, and now it's having another run up. I'm going to sell and get out of that position. I don't need it. It was an airdrop. I've held on to it because I like the project, but I'm going to give up on it. 4 is up. Sui is up again, $3.40. That's going to break $4 before you can say Tariq's new car. Flare is up. Bonk is up, and a few others. Losers then on this cold Monday morning. ENS, Nexo, Carla, XDC, Ton, Mantle. Not many losers. ASI is back down, but it's still 67 cents. It was 40. That should be $5. I don't know what is going on, but it is an AI project, and they did get hammered. Stacks is down a bit. Sonic is down again. I got into Sonic at 50 cents, and even though we've had the massive run up, massive run down, and we've recovered, we're still holding that line. So you can still get into Sonic. And I'm not saying a big position. A small position in Sonic is not going to do you any harm. And the reason I'm saying this is I don't follow an awful lot of the trendy tokens, but I think there's a lot behind Sonic in terms of the team and what Andre's doing. I'm not saying you should have a big position in it. You know, hold your Bitcoin, hold your Ethereum, hold your Solana, hold your Cardano, XRP. I'm saying have a small position. Now then, let's move very quickly on. Yesterday was Hal Finney's 69th birthday. Champion for Bitcoin when it was worth 0. He received the first transaction from Satoshi, and soon after predicted Bitcoin would also hit $10 million. Gone but not forgotten. Hal unfortunately passed away some years ago. There are some people who think that Hal could possibly be Satoshi. If you're testing out a project, you normally send transactions to yourself. I've spent a lot of time looking into who Satoshi could be. And I think that if there is anybody who could be Satoshi, I think it is Hal Finney. Okay? He got very, very ill in the last years of his life and passed away. It's very sad. The wrong people are sometimes taken from this world too early, and he is one of them. He left his kids Bitcoin in non-custodial wallets, so they could have to figure out how Bitcoin works to get their inheritance. And he was 69 yesterday. If you asked me who Satoshi was, it's Hal Finney. But anyway, it's very emotional. CPI came in 2.4% in April. Are we going to see 2 to 2.2% on May the 13th? I do have the US economic calendar to bring up in a minute, and I did mention this on Friday that we could see market movements when the next CPI comes out. But before that, we do have an FOMC meeting this week, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute. Let's get through some of these. Some of these are a little bit more important than others. Some of these are just news grabs. Again, I can't cover absolutely everything. I try and snip a little bit as possible. BlackRock is buying Ethereum. Why are you fading Ethereum? I'm going to keep telling you this. Ethereum is not dead. It might not outperform every other cryptocurrency this bull run, which means you could be better off investing in Solana or Sonic or XRP, but it's certainly not dead. Goldman Sachs is going to launch a 24/7 trading platform for tokenized US treasuries and money market funds. They are not the first. We've already talked about BlackRock doing the same thing. BlackRock are going to build a 24/7, 365 tokenized stock exchange. Probably going to build it in Texas, or have it located in Texas, should I say. Now then, you've heard the expression, not your keys, not your crypto. This is, yes, your fields, no, not your gold coins. This one did make me laugh, okay? A French farmer discovered a gold mine worth 4 billion euros in his garden, but the state confiscated it from him. Now, this is true. This does happen. It can happen in any country. I think there are some laws about it in the UK. But if you find a gold mine on your land, it's not yours. And if you find too much money that the state thinks it's too much money for you to have, then they'll take it off you. So not your keys, not your crypto, applies in real life as well. And even if they are your fields, they're still not your gold coins. The best advice I could have ever given to somebody like that is simply don't tell anybody about them. I don't think that's a criminal offence, by the way. If you find gold coins on your land, they're yours. Now then, Bitcoin Standard author Safadine Amos explains why Bitcoin is the best monetary network there is. Everyone can save in a form of money that is resistant to inflation. And this is what we're going to talk about later on with Warren Buffett. Inflation is the key to everything that you do in Bitcoin. Inflation is the reason why Bitcoin is so important. Nothing really else. Okay? Nothing really else. On the other side, you have ridiculous statements like this. Bitcoin going from $95,000 to $1 million is not that different than Bitcoin going from $15,000 to $109,000. I cannot express the annoyance that I have with statements like this. It's like saying that you bought your house for $15,000 and it's now worth $100,000. And if I hold on to it for, a few more years, it'll be worth $1 million. It doesn't work that way. Bitcoin is an industry. Crypto is an industry which is expanding. I said this last week. But this is the most ridiculous take I have ever heard in my life. Bitcoin going up $90,000 is not the same as Bitcoin going up $900,000. They are not the same thing. And this, you can say in percentage terms, it's utterly ridiculous. You could say if humans were 3% more water, we'd be the ocean. It's just nonsensical. But people will read this and think, yeah, that's pretty true, actually, yeah. And then not think about it because it's a soundbite and it's utter garbage. Bitcoin is one of the best inflation hedges the world has ever seen, as is gold. But gold has struggled a lot in the last probably 10 years or so, 20 years. This is nonsense. Anyway, let's move on. I'm going to try and not be as annoyed today as I normally get. Good morning, Charles. This week's major US economic reports and Fed speakers. The only thing we care about is Wednesday, which is the Fed meeting. Chairman Powell has said there is going to be no rate cut this month. No rate cut. Okay, he's told us. He has told us. So if we get to Wednesday and you stagger around crypto Twitter and you see people with these headlines, breaking, just in, rates held, crypto's going to crash. He told us it was going to happen. It's already priced in. It's already priced in. What is important? I suppose you could say Thursday's job claims are important, but the most important date really is this one. Okay, Tuesday, the 13th of May. So a week tomorrow. These are the important days. And that CPI year over year, is what Matthew Hyland mentioned before. If this comes in at 2.1, 2.2%, we're going up. We're going up because this will lead to the rate cut that we're going to see next. That's what's going to happen. So the rate cut we know we're not going to get this week. So this meeting and press conference on Wednesday, this will be about the tone of what Powell has got to say. Okay? Remember that. We've been told if people start acting shocked It's like, you know, bear walks into house, eats family. And people are shocked. I can't believe the bear went into the house and ate the family. If a bear goes into the house, the bear's going to eat the family. Chairman Powell has already told us there's no rate cut. Don't be so surprised that there is no rate cut. There is no rate cut. And that is fantastic because he's told us. And we're at the stage now where he's telling us. It's like for Christmas. You've been told you're not going to get a BMX. So you don't expect the BMX on Christmas or your birthday. It's just the way it's done. Now, we did say, did we not? This is the DXY. We did say we would find support. We can't keep going down forever. This is all based on tariffs. This is likely to come back up into this range. And it's looking that way. In fact, I'm going to leave that line there. We're going to get back above 100. If you go back and you look at where the DXY has found support in the past, January, May, July, January 24, August 2024, we were all at that line. This has been a result of the tariffs, a shock to the system. That will find balance over time. As everything does in life, it will find balance. It's going to come back up into this range. So even though the dollar is strengthening, it's not going to cause Bitcoin to come crashing down because it was a shock to the system that this happened. Therefore, it will recover, maybe go back to 102, 103, perfectly good. Now, this is probably the most bullish Bitcoin chart you've ever seen in your life, okay? And every week that goes by, this chart is, I mean, we talk about Bitcoin going up and to the right. We didn't expect Bitcoin dominance to be up and to the right. We thought it was the Bitcoin price. 64.6%. That line there is 66%. That's where I think it's going to top out. Now, I also said that we would top out at 64%. We've kept on going. And not only did we keep on going, to add insult to injury to my trend line, it's used my trend line as support. And we've gone as high as 65%. Bitcoin dominance, for those that do not know, it is the overall percentage of crypto that is held in Bitcoin. So for every $100 in crypto, $64.60 is in Bitcoin. That's why Bitcoin makes up half the show. 40% of our show is about Bitcoin and ETFs because it's what's important. Now, when Bitcoin starts to do this, and if you think that's a dramatic drop, we saw it here. That was a dramatic drop, but we also saw it way back here. That's when it dropped. That there. That's what we want to see, but that's not going to happen for a long while. So as long as Bitcoin dominance is this high, there really is no point in talking too much about altcoins in terms of accumulation, yes. Breakouts, not necessarily. So Bitcoin dominance, we keep an eye on it. It's still going. Don't know why that line is there. It's probably when I thought we're going to be at all-time highs. We're still going, and we're still going to go up. And I do not know right now how this changes until the macro changes. The rate cuts, the money printing being turned on, QE coming to an end. I don't know how any of this changes until any of that happens. So just got to keep an eye on it. And again, when it breaks down, it will break down violently and quickly, as it has done a couple of times in the past. Right then, moving on to total market cap. This is everything in crypto. Now, we came in at 3 trillion. The middle to end of last week, we were at 3 trillion, and now we're at 2.91. Again, same thing as before. We've basically bounced off the 2024 high market valuation. But look what we've done. Now, we're going to talk about Bitcoin in a little bit, and we're going to talk about the potential for us to start to come back down, which you might think is terrible. This is also the Diplodocus, which I also mentioned on a tweet last week. we have been rejected off the top of this bull market support band on the total market cap. We need to find support, and I know a lot of people don't really care about this. I don't really care whether they agree with me or not. We need to hold 2.84 trillion. That's what we need to hold. Otherwise, we're just going to possibly turn over and do this. Now, that isn't the end of the world. That's a 10% drop. 10% drop in Bitcoin takes us back to 88,000, for example, 89,000. 10% drop also could result in the alts coming down a lot lower as well. So we've been rejected, and that's why the title of the show is Find Support, because that's what we need to do. I was a lot more bullish last week than I am today, and I've not switched bearish overnight. It's because we're creaking at the levels that we've got to, and we look like we're starting to turn over, which means we're going to start to come down. And again, coming down isn't the end of the world, because we can't go up in a straight line forever. Now, the interesting thing here, this is the total market cap, excluding Bitcoin and Ethereum. And again, we didn't even get as high on this as we did on Bitcoin. Bitcoin and Ethereum pushed us up here. We barely broke it, and we're starting to come back down. Now again, if we look at 2024 high, we haven't even. I don't think we're going to hold that. I think we're going to come down to this line again. That's 720. Again, that's a 10% drop as well. So I expect us to have a retracement sooner rather than later, unless something changes. And again, that's why I keep saying everything is tied to the macro at the minute. For me, that is interest rates, inflation, jobless reports, housing markets. They're the things that Powell focuses on, and that's where we need to keep our eyes on it. Now, we're not going to be able to front run the market, because once inflation comes in at 2.1 or 2% or 2.2%, the markets will go up. We can't front run that, but we can watch it and we can see it happening, and then we can wait for confirmation, and then we can start to move in. Now, we're going to talk about that next, because it's a Monday. We do a lot of macro, kind of like bigger area stuff on a Monday than we do on any other day of the week. We try and put it all in. Otherwise, we spend our entire lives looking at charts. And if you want to look at charts, there's 10,000 other people out there that do charts all the time. Chairman Powell makes it clear he's not cutting interest rates at this week's meeting. So, as I said before, when you see these crypto influencers with that shocked emoji where their hands are over their mouths, oh my God, he didn't cut rates. I can't believe he didn't cut rates. Nobody saw that coming. Chairman Powell's been telling you. They're meeting on Tuesday and Wednesday in Washington, and Powell has already spelled out interest rates are staying exactly where they are. He's brushing off the mounting political heat from Trump, who wants lower, faster. Trump, why? I mean, Americans have a different word. We can't use that word. I don't want to use that word, but they use it for annoyed. We use it for absolutely everything in the UK. He's been hammering the Fed non-stop over its refusal to cut. Powell is stuck in that corner. Got back up on Friday when Labour data showed that they added 177,000 jobs in April. That number gave the Fed more breathing room to justify keeping the rates unchanged, at least for now. Trump blasted Powell. There can be a slowing of the economy unless Mr. Too Late, a major loser, lowers interest rates now. A few days earlier, Trump posted Powell's termination cannot come fast enough. Again, I think the issue with Trump is that much as we like some of the things he does, some of the other things he does are very, very authoritarian. And he wants to be, you know, I'm not going to use the D word, okay? I'm not going to use the D word because he's called Donald, but he doesn't really play by the books. And at the end of the day, I think Powell has done a decent job. But he has his set of rules that he follows. If he bows to Trump, if the Fed bows to Trump now, that precedent is set for every future president of America. from here on out. The Bank of England had its powers separated from the government in the UK years ago, and it was the best thing that could have happened, because it means that political parties can't use the Bank of England to make the economy better for the population just before an election. You can't have the Fed, much maligned as they are for what they do, you can't have them bow to a president of America. There has to be some separation of power in America. That's why it's a little bit dangerous at the minute, because America has the Republicans have the House and they have Trump. And the Democrats, they can't do anything about it. But Powell is really one of the only men in America that can stand up to Trump, and Trump cannot fire him. So the difference between Trump and Powell is simple. Trump wants the key interest rate cut, and Powell doesn't. Trump says inflation is cooling, so the Fed should make it cheaper to borrow. That would make credit cards, mortgages, and loans less expensive. And I know at the end of the day, that's what Trump wants. But if you watch Ben Cowan for a while and you look at what he says about inflation, and what tends to happen with inflation is it cools off, inflation comes down, and then you kind of take the foot off the gas and you put more money into the economy, and then you have another leg up of inflation. So what happens is it comes down to 2.3, 2.4. You take your foot off the gas too soon, and then it might go to 2.3, but then it might go to 2.5 or 2.7. And he doesn't want that bounce in inflation, because you don't want runaway inflation. You want it under control. So I understand where Powell is coming from, and I understand where Trump is coming from, and we all want rate cuts. But Powell is doing the best thing for the economy in the long run. And that is the most important thing. Because, again, don't forget, inflation is eroding the money in your pocket. It's eroding the value of your money. You think 2% is great. If it averaged 2% every year for the next 50 years, your $100 would be worth $3 or $4. Now, this is what I'm worried about for Bitcoin. And bear with me, this is not set in stone. Okay, I've removed an awful lot of stuff from this chart. Right, this is what I'm going to do. Okay, now ignore me for a second. I also want to show you something. Okay, right, let's say, for argument's sake, that we see a repeat of last year. Now, we could argue that this is Trump. You can argue that that is Trump. That's Trump coming into power. This is Trump's tariffs. If we ignore that for a minute and we look at what we did last year. Now, I'm not looking at anything in particular here, but what we did last year was we did this until October. Now, October 2024 looks an awful lot like, where is it? October 2023. That's October 2023. This is October 2024. The question I'm posing is, what happens if we stay here until, let me put another line in. What happens if we stay here until October 2025? What happens if we just go off an October cycle? So we basically do this, and then we have the next leg up in October. I'm not saying this is going to happen. It's just another hypothesis. Now, again, this lined up perfectly, and I will give you that. That was a really nice set of ranges, and we don't have that now because we've got Trump. So what happens if we have the same set of ranges, but they're more volatile because we now have a more volatile president? This was Biden. This is Trump. This is nice. No, it's not nice because it's not doing anything, but you know what I mean. This is consistent. Trump isn't consistent. Trump is far from consistent. So what happens if we are stuck here for the next few months? What happens if we do this? That's a possibility. Now, the line that I have drawn on there, that's the line I think we need to hold for me to be happy. Bitcoin got above the bull market support band, and that line there is 91.8. That's the top of the bull market support band. And my very simple premise is this is sad down here, and this is happy up here. So we have a kind of a line where we want to bounce. Now, if we come down to 91,000 and we bounce, absolutely fantastic. More than happy to see that. If we fall below this line, do you remember what we said over here? We said we can go up as fast as we come down, and we've gone up as fast as we came down. So we can come down again, and we could come down to, I think I said 88 before, which is around about there. The actual line may be 88,000. There we go. So it's about where I said. So I'm not saying this is going to happen, because I think the Fed, the lack of a Fed rate cut is priced in. But what I think is going to happen is on May the 12th, if we go over here. So this line here, this is the day we're going to get the CPI data. So I think what could happen is we spend the rest of this week doing that and coming down to there. And then the CPI data is going to tell us if we're going that way or that way. And that's where I think it's important. Now, everybody tells you that CPI data and the FOMC meetings, they are the most important meetings in the history of Bitcoin. And everybody says that every single month. And I can agree with that. But what I can't see is a straightforward move for Bitcoin. When we were down here, I was convinced we were going to move up. I was absolutely convinced we were going to move up, and we did. And now we're here. I'm not wholly convinced that we're going to keep going up. 100,000 was on the cards last week, but we turned over. And this is turning over as well. And every time we turn over, we kind of have a period of coming back down. So I think we're going to have a correction to the downside. If you think 91.8, it's only $2,500 from where we are now. It's not a massive move down. But I think we could hold that line. And I think it's important to see that as the next level of support. That's where, going back to the title of the show, finding support, I think, is the most important thing. And listen, there's way more lines than this. There is actually, if I move that around for a while, if you look there, we've got support at 93,000. I don't want to go too much on about support levels, but there is one at 93, and there is one at 91.8 or 91. Yeah, 91.8. It's about there. So that's where I think we're going to find support. And now, if we're going to zoom out a little bit, I want to zoom out and pay homage to probably the second greatest investor that has ever lived. Okay? Nancy Pelosi, for those of you that don't know, is the greatest investor who has ever lived. She is the greatest investor of all time. She's turned a personal net worth of about $2 million into $200 million in very little time. Good morning to Rigoberto. I hope you're well. And good morning, Mags. Have you were in chat before, Mags? Good morning to you all. It's been another quiet morning. If you are new here, subscribe and smash the like bell or like thing. Right. So Warren Buffett, the second greatest investment of all time, has retired. Now, I watched a video of him today, and he looks old and frail, and I think he has retired because I think he is unfortunately no longer, or not much longer, for this world. He's always had a gravelly voice. but now he seems to have got to the point where he's looking very frail. So I think he probably thinks it's time for him to go, and he's stepped down. And I think he's left. The company's got $330 billion in pounds or something like that. They have a lot of money on the side. And maybe the decision for him to step down was taken when they took all of the money off the table. Maybe he decided to step down with all the cash on the side to hand over to the next person. Maybe they've known for months, and they probably have known for months. And there he is. Okay, Warren Buffett got standing ovation at his Berkshire Hathaway shareholder conference. Now, the way that conference works, by the way, is if you hold one share in Berkshire Hathaway, you get a free ticket to go. And as far as I'm aware, the tickets are about the shares are about $900,000 to $700,000 a share. So he stepped down. He will no longer be at the helm. The final word would be what Greg decided, underscoring a clear shift in decision-making authority. There we go. They've got $348 million in cash reserves. The war chest, built through decades of conservative capital allocation, highlights Buffett's hallmark strategy of value investing. Now, value investment is very simple. It's investing in assets that generate value. It's simple as that. Farms, manufacturing companies, producers of goods. That's basically what he goes for, or services to some extent. And they completely missed the fintech. They didn't see fintech. They didn't see Amazon. They didn't see Netflix. They didn't see Google, Facebook, Instagram. They didn't see it. But in their defense, they've got 348 billion. And you can argue as much as you want that they missed out, but they also have been owning the likes of Apple. They own an awful lot of farming land. And there we go. So it's $800,000 a share. Now, the thing with it is, Warren Buffett said something in the interview that I watched that I want to talk about. And I think it's important to talk about this. I'm actually going to reset the browser at the same time. So let me just do this. Now, Warren Buffett just told you he's a value investor. And he has said that there is no value in gold. Gold is a shiny rock. That is what he's called gold. And he's said that for years. And if we are to say that crypto, or Bitcoin, sorry, is nothing other than a shiny rock, that would explain why Warren Buffett does not own any Bitcoin. Now, the reason that I want to have a little separate segment about this is he said something really interesting in his kind of like exit interview. And that was that one of the things that keeps him up at night is the American dollar. The American dollar, he's worried about it. And the reason he's worried about it is the same everybody else is worried about it, and that is hyperinflation and the devaluation of the dollar. Now, if you go back over the charts and you look at the dollar and you look at how much has been printed in the last 5 years, it's getting to the point where the interest payments on the debt is so high. We've mentioned this before. They're now spending more on repaying the debt than they are on their own military. So it's a massive problem. Now, whether you like him or not, what Donald Trump is trying to do is plug the $2 trillion hole. $2 trillion, $2,000 billion a year is the government overspend in America. If it continues, the American dollar is finished within 20 to 40 years. It's finished. They can't repay the debt. So what Trump is doing with tariffs and with Doge is not some finger in the air, I'm going to save the world. This is save $1 trillion in efficiency within the American government. Shrink the American government. That's his plan. And number two is increase tariffs by $1 trillion a year. And that would just balance the books. Now, I made a video about this, and I want to make this very, very clear. If you want to try and run a 9-second 100 meters and you come in at 9.3 seconds, have you failed? Yes. But did you also set a world record along the way? Yes, you did. If you want to have a sandwich shop that has a $1 million a year turnover and it's currently turning over $100,000, within 12 months, your sandwich shop is turning over $600,000. Is that a failure? Well, you didn't hit your target, but you're selling 6 times as many sandwiches or 6 times the value of turnover as you were 12 months ago. So what's going to happen is Doge is not going to save $1 trillion. The tariffs are not going to generate $1 trillion. But even if they go half or 2/3 of the way there, they've wiped $1 to $1.2 trillion a year off that deficit. And remember, that $2 trillion a year is the overspend. It's not even cutting into the spend of the government. So if you've got Warren Buffett, the second greatest investor of all time, worrying about the dollar, if you've got BlackRock worrying about the dollar and Goldman Sachs worrying about the dollar, why is what Trump is doing, why is he such a bad guy when he's doing what everybody is saying, every economist is saying, the dollar is finished if they don't change course. He's trying to change the course and suddenly he's a bad guy. And yes, he's a bad guy and lots of other things. He wants to reopen Alcatraz. I mean, come on, Donald. It's ridiculous. He wants to take over Greenland. We know why he wants to take over Greenland. It has nothing to do with the resources of Greenland. But the point of it is, be critical of him when he does wrong. I agree. But don't be critical of him when he's trying to do the right thing in his way. That's, you have to separate it. That's the problem with politics at the minute. The left think everything they do is right. The right think everything they do is right. And there is no in between where you can actually make your own decision. And that's why you're seeing the likes of the Reform Party and what's going on in Romania. That's why you're seeing this stuff happen. Because the left and the right can't agree on anything. So a third party comes along, which has extreme, absolute guarantees, and you'll vote for them because they're the only people giving you options. Trump was the only option for America at that moment in time. In 3 years' time, maybe Gavin Newsom comes along and has a way better plan for America, and then he should get your vote. Or Robert Kennedy goes back to the Democrats. Maybe he should get your vote. But at this moment in time, that $2 trillion a year overspend is going to finish America. Now, China is on its knees. It's in massive problems itself. So if we have China in trouble, we have America in trouble, and they're the 2 largest economies in the world. There's no hope for anybody else. There's no hope for Europe. There's no hope for Africa. There's no hope for Asia. You can't have the 2 biggest economies in the world collapse because they are both codependent on each other, number one. And number two, if it does collapse like a house of cards, everybody else is finished. It's like the argument that Bitcoin, well, the easiest way to take out Bitcoin is to launch an EMP strike. If you launch an EMP strike, Bitcoin is not the problem. The fact that we have no electricity is the problem. The fact that the internet's gone, the fact that communications are down, that's the problem. So be very careful of agreeing with everybody who opposes everything that Donald Trump does. Because he is wrong on many things, but he is right in his way on certain things. And the American economy, it's got years and years left. It's still the global reserve currency. We know all of these things, but things will take time to get back. And if he does it, then fair play to him. That is what we want. Right then, let's go back and have a look. Good morning, Kishan. I hope you are well. Right then. Now, I made another video yesterday about the 3 cryptocurrencies that I said would overtake Ethereum in this bull run. And I'm going to show you, because there are certain people out there that don't even know we have a YouTube channel. So I'm going to show you. And if you're not following us on YouTube, you're really not helping us. We are absolutely struggling right now with YouTube. YouTube is not getting the views because there's no retail. So this is why we're struggling. Right then, so these videos here, ETH flippening, 3 tokens that could flip Ethereum. That's the video I made yesterday. I think it's a great video. 44 views on that video. 2 years ago, that would have had 2,000 or 3,000 views. Last year, it would have had 500 or 600 views. It's got 44 views. Nobody is watching YouTube videos. So do us a favor, give us a follow on YouTube, watch some videos. The DCA strategy, I give you 3 different ways of getting out at the end of this bull run. The Bitcoin 4-year cycle, is it dead? I talk about that. The core DAO that I mentioned before, that's a really good video to watch. So I believe, in my opinion, I've made 4 really good videos in the last 5 days. And between them, they've had 300 views. And again, like I said, if I'd have made them years ago, I mean, look at that, 33,000 views, 10,000, 8,000, 7,000. These are a year ago. It's the traffic. It's not the content that's the problem. Anyway, I've mentioned which 3 I think will flip Ethereum. I've also given you a coin I will guarantee you that will flip Ethereum. So there's actually 4 coins in there that you need to look at. Now this Petra upgrade goes live, allegedly goes live on the same day as the CPI data comes out. Who says there isn't a coincidence in this world? Vitalik has warned that Ethereum's growing complexity may threaten decentralization. Petra upgrade triggers a key debate. ETH whales showed mixed strategies as price stagnates, reflecting uncertainty ahead of the Petra rollout. Again, I will refer you back to the fact that BlackRock is buying Ethereum. Ethereum isn't going anywhere. I know people don't like it. I know people don't like Vitalik, me included, but it's not going to go anywhere. Petra on deck, but is Ethereum building a sandcastle or a castle on sand? I just call it building a sandcastle. Sandcastle washes away in the water, so does a castle. Ethereum gears up for the highly anticipated Petra upgrade, set to expand the blob capacity, streamline validator ops, and bring in long requested UX enhancements. Vitalik is sounding a different kind of alarm. Even a smart high school student is capable of fully wrapping their head around and understanding the Bitcoin protocol. A programmer is capable of writing a client as a hobby project. The implication of this is ETH's current architecture is edging away from that level of accessibility. Again, but that will happen over time. I know Solana is very easy to program on. The Oracle has looked at Solana and Ethereum, and if Solana is the easiest place to program out of the 2. He points out that Ethereum is increasingly reliant on a small group of highly technical contributors, which risks centralizing control. Again, I'm not too fussed about this. There is a massive debate about centralization versus decentralization. I don't believe you can have a 100% decentralized project. It's not possible. I don't think you can have it. It becomes a rudderless ship. You need people to steer Bitcoin. You need people to steer Ethereum. And you want it to be done in a way that is outside of politics. That's what you want. You don't want Bitcoin to have the ability to be changed to proof of stake because BlackRock owns so much of it. You also don't want Ethereum to change direction because BlackRock owns such a large proportion of it. And if you asked me right now, I would say that Ethereum is the biggest one that is being threatened by BlackRock. Simplicity should be seen as a core value, just like decentralization. Again, I'm not going to talk too much about this. This is coming out next week. I think it's going to make a big difference to the Ethereum price. Not as big a difference as the proof of stake, which has been postponed for another month. But when that comes, I think we're going to see a massive sea change in Ethereum. I think Ethereum is going to rip when it gets the staking rewards on its ETFs. It's going to go up. Maybe not to $25,000, but I think we're going to absolutely smash 2,000, maybe smash 2,500, and it'll be on its way to 3,000. And maybe the proof of stake rewards for the ETFs, maybe that is the day that Bitcoin dominance breaks down. There's going to be a couple of opportunities for Bitcoin dominance to break down. That could be one of them. Or, as my video said about the 4-year cycle, maybe it's never going to break down again. Maybe it's the end of the 4-year cycle and Bitcoin goes off on its merry little way and the meme coins are left to fight it out. All of those things are possible. We've got 10 minutes left. 10 minutes left. What have we got to go through? Binance, Stables, and Rotten Apple. Okay, so Binance, and is this, it's not Kazakhstan, is this Kyrgyzstan? Binance's National Investment Agency signs MOU, which is Memorandum of Understanding for Crypto Development, aims to modernize the digital economy and potential boost in foreign investment and innovation in Web3. I saw another article about the Maldives is going to have an $8 or $9 billion hub built for crypto people in a place where that is more than their national or annual GDP. Again, I'm not expecting half of these places to be a success. I'm expecting half of them to fail because you only have so many Bitcoin OGs. You've only got so many people that want to go and live in the Maldives. Maldives is where? It's on the south coast of India. So it's absolutely boiling down there. Why doesn't somebody create a crypto hub in Greenland? Why doesn't somebody make somewhere where you can go and live with elk and live in igloos and enjoy making snow castles? Why does it always have to be in 44-degree heat? Some of us don't like 44-degree heat. You know, cater to both sides. So CZ obviously spoke last week about the EU being a pile of pants. He's talking about going around the world now. I think he's really become a crypto ambassador. And I think he's a force of good. I said this last week. And I think bringing Binance to a lot of these smaller nations is just going to help benefit those nations. And unlike the $9 billion going into the Maldives, I think this is a net positive. Obviously, it's Binance going in there and not the American government. It's a funny position to be in where you've got Trump and World Liberty Finance going into Pakistan, and then you've got Binance and CZ going into Kazakhstan, maybe, because you've now got companies versus, I suppose, nation states. Well, America's probably not a nation state, it's probably the state. So it's good to see. I think it's a massive net positive for Binance, for countries. Building a crypto reserve is not a bad idea. I think the problem is that people outside of crypto don't understand that Bitcoin is now a $1.6 trillion asset. It's now the 5th biggest asset in the world. People still see it as this imaginary internet money. And that is their problem. It's not your problem. You go out and you say, oh, do you hold, what have you been doing? Oh, I hold Bitcoin. And then people laugh at you and say, oh, that imaginary money. It's the 5th or 6th biggest asset in the world. It's the same size as Google. Would you hold Google stock or Apple stock? Of course you would. So why wouldn't you hold Bitcoin? I think that by the time it changes, you've already won. You've already won. By the time that changes, you will hopefully be holding $250,000 Bitcoin, $300,000 Bitcoin. Maybe even if you hold it long enough, $1 million Bitcoin. That's where you're going to end up. Not today or tomorrow. Today, this year, this cycle, I think 150,000, I think would be an amazing price to get to. And if I'm wrong, and Saylor and co ramp it up to the upside and breaks the 4-year cycle, and it just keeps going up for the next 10 years, fantastic. But we have to get to November to see if the 4-year cycle is dead. Now then, 4 headlines that terrify Solana short sellers in May. What a headline. I thought this was about stablecoins. Did I not call it a Sol Stable? What is the title of this article? Solid Stables. Who knows why I've called it that? Who knows? Right then. A bullish Sol cup and handle pattern has formed on the price chart. Meanwhile, Solana is moving to tokenized stocks on the blockchain, while ETF issuers are planning to trade Sol and wash it. So 4 reasons to be bullish on Sol. Number 1, bullish long-term cup and handle pattern. Yes, absolutely. Totally agree with that. That is a cup and handle pattern. If you watch, what's he called now? Crypto Lifer. I think he's called Crypto Lifer. He does the Sammy cup and handle. That's one of his favourite chart patterns. And we've got the cup and handle. It plays out. Again, we could sit here in 3 weeks' time and be at $110,000. For Bitcoin, we could be sitting here and being at $250 for Solana. It's that close, but it's also that far away. It's like we are 1-0 up with 10 minutes to go of the match. That's what it's like at the minute for Bitcoin and crypto. If you think about the fact that we have a 4-year cycle, we're going into the last 6 months. We're close. And we may not be there just yet, but we are really, really close. And no matter how I look at the charts, we're in May. June, July, August, September, October, November. It's going to happen soon. I could be wrong. It could be August. I could be wrong. It could be July. I think it's very unlikely to happen in the summer because of the volume, but we are so close. Crypto X chart TA Ali Martinez, who we've put on here before, has basically said that we've got the bullish cup and handle. Started around October 2022. It completes in November 2024. And then, of course, we've had the handle. The Bollinger Bands are squeezing on the 4-hour chart for Sol, signaling a major price move could be imminent. This was only yesterday, I think. Tokenized stock announcement. This is the key for me. This is one of the reasons I want Crypto Warehouse to be involved with RWA projects. And that is not necessarily just tokenized stocks. It's why we're trying to get involved with the likes of Maple, and we've got a few others that we're in contact with to do videos about their content, because I think this is a safer bet than you going and buying a meme coin or a $50 million project. This, for me, is one of the big directions that I think crypto is going to go in the next 2 years. So, Solana, Institute, Superstate Funds, and Orca, with support from Lowenstein, have submitted a proposal to the SEC dubbed Project Open for a pilot project to enable the issuance and trading of equity securities on public chains blockchain like Solana. This is it. This is what helps Solana flip Ethereum. But don't forget, Ethereum is going to get its own stock exchange. Ethereum via BlackRock. Ethereum is going to have tokenized 24/7, 365 treasury bonds and gilts through the likes of Ondo. So don't count out Ethereum. This is a race, and sometimes maybe Solana will lead, then Ethereum will lead, then Solana will lead. But Solana is catching up. Every stock, every bond, every fund, every asset can be tokenized. If they are, it will revolutionize investing. Markets would need to close transactions that currently take days in seconds. Solana is built for that. Bloomberg Sol ETF approval odds jumped to 90%. It's going to be approved. It's not a case of if, but when. So we're going to get the ETF. We're going to get tokenized funds, and we've got the cup and handle. And the final one, because I think we're going to run out of time, is the stablecoin market. I raised this. This isn't, by the way, this isn't correct anymore. It's now over 12 billion. I think it's like 12.5 billion. So since this was published, which was a couple of months ago, it's actually now, might even be 13.5 billion. It's gone up a lot. Stable coins are going to Solana. That means liquidity is going to Solana. Don't fade Solana. You know I'm a big fan. I've been in Solana for 4-5 years. I was one of the ones that bought some of those original art punks, for example, one of the very first NFT projects on Solana. I still hold them. Big times ahead for Solana. Maybe not for NFTs, but big times ahead for Solana. Right, and finally, we have Epic Games court win may open floodgates for crypto apps in iOS. Now, this again has skipped by a lot of people. Apple's App Store now allows Web3 apps and allows for the trading of crypto without the 30% Apple tax. This is massive news. This should have been a headline somewhere, but it hasn't been. And Epic Games, the long story was, Epic Games runs off V-Bucks, and you couldn't buy V-Bucks because Apple wanted 30% of the transaction. They then removed Epic Games from the store. Epic took them to court and won. And now, through the back door, crypto apps are coming in. Again, this is one of those bits of news which hasn't really been covered, but could end up having massive ramifications for everybody. If you can have your Web3 game on the App Store, where you can basically take your Telegram games and run it through the App Store and allow the tokens to be held and sold and bought through the app, then you've just unlocked 50% of the market. It's huge news, and I think it's huge news now, but I think it's going to take another 6 to 12 months for it actually to come to fruition, because they've got to allow all of the apps back in. Now then, that, ladies and gentlemen, if you give me 1 second to get rid of this. There we go. Right then, that is the end of Monday. This week, we have no Wednesday special. We've done 3 Wednesdays on the trot. We did Wolf Swap, we've done Mew, and we've done Maple Finance. 3 Wednesdays on the trot. We are not planning to do this Wednesday. We are lining up an interview with the founder of Wolf Swap, Alex. We're going to interview him, but I think that's going to be offline. I think we're going to do an interview and then play the recording. That's something on the horizon. We're going to speak to Nikolai and maybe arrange a Binance audio spaces with him to talk about Maple. That's on the cards. We have a few more ambassadorships that we're looking at and looking over. We've turned a couple down this week. And last week, sorry, not this week. Last week we turned a couple down. So we're still working. We're still trying to grow the channel. Some days it's easier than others. But anyway, you don't care about that. I will see you all tomorrow. The plan, by the way, is to do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday this week, and Thursday do some videos. So you'll see me 4 mornings this week. Maybe the Oracle and myself will do the live stream from the office on Friday. But until then, have a great Monday. Take care of yourselves. Our Oracle Trader Show, I'll speak to him and see when he's going to do it. I haven't set anything up for this week. He should be doing 2. But I'll find out when. And one of them he'll be doing on YouTube, definitely, but I don't know if he'll be doing it on Binance. So I'll find out for you, Kishan, and I'll get him to tell you in Telegram. Anyway, thank you, everybody, for tuning in. I will see you in the morning. Have a great Monday.